This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Apparition Scents, an outdoor and sporting goods company based in Dilliner, Pennsylvania. All of their scents developed and hand bottled with strict attention being paid to every detail. Contact them today at 724-998-7646 or check them out at apparitionscents.com. 100% lethal or your money back guaranteed. Get a hold of them today at 724-998-7646 or check them out at apparitionscents.com. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight, we've got Dan Hall here with me.
What up?
And we got Dave Young. How you guys doing this evening?
Doing great, Michael.
Doing awesome, man.
Back from Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We just started West Virginia rifle season here on the Monday of Thanksgiving week. So these two guys here come away with some deer meat, but me and my son was unsuccessful. So we had some does come in, but we wasn't going to pull the trigger on those because my son missed a nice 8-point buck on the first day, and we were hoping that he would come back in, but only got one more day to hunt that week, and then there were some other people hunting on the property there. So hopefully we'll be able to go back this weekend. Dan, tell us a little bit about your daughter's hunt there. She got her first deer this year.
She did. And had an immaculate shot at that, man. It was a nice big old girl there. And it was actually in the neighbor's field. So we called the neighbor and made sure it was okay, and he's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. They eat all my cow feed anyhow." So he allowed us to hunt off of him for that little bit for Pacey to get her first one. And it was textbook, 153-yard shot. I mean, absolutely smoked this deer. Dude, I was so proud of her, man. I was shaking. I don't know if she was, but I know for a fact, I think I was shaking worse than I've ever shook hunting deer. It was amazing to watch my little girl.
She made a great shot on that thing.
Oh, she did. It was perfect. It was perfect, and what's crazy is, like I've said in prior podcasts here, I haven't taught her really how to shoot out of a scope. I've always just taught her open sights. So her shooting her first deer with a gun she's never shot, to be honest with you, and scoped at that. I told her, I said, and I screwed up. Honestly, I flipped the safety off as I thought I did. So she's like, "Daddy's not shooting." I'm like, "What?" I look over and I'm like, "Oh man, I didn't get the safety all the way off." So I reached over her, flipped the safety off. I said, "Now acquire your target right behind the shoulder and just squeeze the trigger. Don't jerk it. Don't pull it." And she said, "I get it." I said, "All right." And that gun went off before she even knew it, and that deer just straight dropped. Didn't go nowhere.
That's awesome. The way it should be, man. I mean, that's what I tell Trevor all the time. I mean, when you're pulling that trigger, it should be pull, 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 bang. It should surprise you every time that thing goes off.
Yeah, see, that's the nice thing about that 243 she was hunting with. It will surprise you. That thing, honestly, if you breathe on it too hard, it will go off. It has such a hair trigger. I think it's maybe 2 pounds at the most.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fully custom.
So you all had went out during the week, and y'all didn't see much, did you?
No, we didn't see a whole lot. We actually took the blind up to the property, and I set it up, and we hunted it that evening. I didn't really expect to see much, so. But we sat there, and we heard a few down in the real thick stuff. Just never could get a visual on them, so that really got her pumped up for it, man. So that really turned her on to it, I think. She was enjoying that. Then,
yeah, it's awesome.
The next day after I had it set up, we actually went back out to the property. Me, her, and her pawpaw, Dave, Miles, not young. I know you're old, but I don't know if you're that old yet, Dave.
No, not yet.
But she was like, "Daddy, I want to sit with Pawpaw." I'm like, "Well, yeah, he's got more snacks. You ate all mine the day before." What? She said, yeah, he's got good snacks. I said, all right, baby, go sit with Papa. I'll go sit by myself here.
Come on, Dad, you got to get better snacks.
Well, I had a bunch.
You got to show up, Papa.
Well, I had a bunch, but she ate them all the night before. I can't help that she's eating all my snacks. So they went to the blind, and then I went and sat down, walked the property a little bit, and found me a nice little holler that's a phenomenal little pinch point, man. It was textbook. Had a hillside on my left, dropped down in a holler, thicket on the right, like nice little bedding area. I'm like, man, this is where I'm sitting. So that was about 6:40. I got sat down in the spot. I actually moved once because I didn't really like where I was sitting. So 7:05, I hear turn around and looked. And not a little doe, pretty decent sized doe, younger doe, probably two. I think she was 2.5. I'm like, well, you screwed up. This is the first deer I'm gonna kill off my property. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger and dropped her right there. Man, it was pretty sweet. And then about an hour later, we got a text. My belly hurts, Daddy. I want to go home. So we ended up getting that deer back to the truck and had to take her home because she wasn't feeling good. Too many snacks.
Yep. Too many deer wood snacks.
Yep. But yeah, we had a pretty good season at the house. My father-in-law killed a nice one, nice one. He was a goofy one. He was actually a 1x3. He had one horn on one side and 3 on the other, and one of them was actually starting to grow down into a skull. So
yeah, man, that was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like curling over, into the hair and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was nuts.
Yeah, it was. I've never really seen nothing like it. So something had happened to his horns either that year or the year prior to create it to be affected like that.
Yeah. We'll go into this a little more here in a minute, but Dave and you, Dan, both took your deer out there to the Jackson County where they were doing some evaluations and analysis. The West Virginia
Sure.
Department of Natural Resources was out there doing that, but we'll go into that after we get Dave's take on things. So how was your season, Dave? I know that you bagged a spike, and it was a pretty big spike. You got, I think, 2 bags of meat you set out of it, so...
Yeah, he was about, I think they said he was about 1.5 years old. Yeah, his spikes were above his ears. I'd actually, I started hunting up by my blind, and then ended up going to the house after a few hours. And then when I walked back out, my dad was like, there's been a spike up in the field up there. So I thought, well, my wife's been giving me a hard time about trying to trophy hunt. So I was like, I'll bring home some meat.
Trophy is what you make of it.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, I walked up in the field, and sure enough, he was staring right at me about 50 yards away, and I put one through his heart. So
yeah, that's
he didn't go very far.
That's a thing that we have said on the podcast in past. We just couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had Alex DeBoard on from Talk About It Outdoors, and his saying was, you got to mount the memories. Yep. And I've credited him twice now, so we can say it and we can take credit for
it. That's right. That's right. That's all the credit you get, Alex.
It ain't patented. He ain't got nothing on that. No. We can use that. Hey, that's a great saying, though, and it's the truth.
It is, man.
I mean,
the
memory I made with my daughter over this hunting season, it's mounted in my brain forever. And I'm pretty sure if you've seen the pictures on Facebook, that smile says it all. The biggest thing she's ever killed prior to that's a squirrel. So,
yep.
That's awesome.
That's great. So, Dave, they were telling you out there in Jackson County when you done that analysis and stuff that the teeth doesn't lie. And you were kind of surprised that, or was it you, Dan, that was kind of surprised about how young that doe was?
Yeah, no.
Because of all the fat and stuff on it.
Yeah, that was me, because so we got there, like you was saying, Jackson County, and actually Jackson and Mason this year was doing wanting you to bring the deer in. DNR biologist was looking at things, aging them. Actually, they was getting DNA, aging them, and just checking genetics and how well they was doing. But
Yeah.
When we got there, right there at Ken at the Exxon, they was there. There was a guy pulled in before us, and he pulled out a deer just the size of my dog. Like, I'm not even lying. It was the size of my German Shepherd.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, he killed a little baby. And we was watching, figuring out what they was doing, because I thought, with what they was talking about, I thought they was wanting to check for CWD or something to that effect. That's what the first thing went through my mind. So I'm like, I'm taking my deer, let them check it. I don't know what's going on, but I definitely want to learn something. But so this guy pulls his deer out of the bed of his truck. They start checking everything, and we talked to him like, what are you checking for? And they explain it. We're aging them, getting genetic locations, where they killed from, what kind of genetics they have in that area. So he pulls his out, big as a German Shepherd. I'm like, man, that's a young deer. That's what went through my mind. Looked really young. She broke the jaw, put the thing in, started checking the teeth. She's like, that's 4.5-year-old deer. Me and my father-in-law look at each other like, what? That's a 4.5-year-old deer? Oh my Lord, that thing's tiny. Then, they come over to mine, and she breaks she didn't really have to break the jaw because there's reasons behind that, but the mouth was plumb open. She could see teeth plain as day. But she looked, she said, your deer's 2.5 years old. I said, wait a minute, my deer's 3 times the size of his. How is his deer that much smaller? And she explained it, and she was like, look, wherever you're hunting, there's great genetics in there. So apparently when they first reintroduced, because they kind of did the same thing with deer that they're doing with elk. They brought them in from different locations. They brought them in from Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, all that kind of stuff. So there's different strands of deer running through the country. And like she said, you got deer up in the mountainous areas that aren't going to be as big as your deer down towards like Mason and your farmland areas, which makes sense. But yeah, it was amazing to see and learn that thing was so much smaller than mine, but so much older than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
So how was your experience with that, Dave?
It wasn't too bad. I there was a bit of a line when I got there. I went to the same station there at the Exxon at Kenna. And, man, there was a huge 8-point, one of the biggest 8-points I've ever seen. It was killed up on Jim Ridge right there. But yeah, I think I was like 4th in line, and they were pretty quick with everything. When I showed up, I thought it was supposed to be for, CWD.
Yeah.
And they actually, they were like, it has nothing to do with that. It's, we're just trying to do kind of a census of where the deer are. But they told me that my spike was about 1.5 years old, and I think his spikes were right around 7 inches.
Oh wow!
If I remember right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know they was close to like 8 inches. You were saying just above the ears, but
yeah,
they were good 7 inches easy.
Yeah, they were pretty, and you could see where it was getting ready to split off. It looked like it was almost a 3-point, on one of the sides, but anyway, but yeah, and then they broke the jaw, did the teeth thing, and I believe they took some blood sample and some hair as well.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. But if you wanted to mount the deer, they would get the blood sample a different way. They didn't want to mess up the skin of the for the mount or whatever.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean it wasn't a bad experience. I personally, I'm not a big fan of being told that I have to do something.
Right.
It's just in my nature. So I was like, so was this mandatory or what? Because I didn't want to have to do anything like that. Like I want as little, I want the government to know as little about what I do as possible. Too. But it was a good experience, and I think it was good for them to get that information so that they know, hey, do we have an issue? Are we having any problems in the deer population, that kind of thing.
What was her answer to the is it mandatory thing? I never asked that.
She said it was.
Oh, it was. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she said it was, and I don't know if was that statewide or was it just Jackson?
I'm pretty sure it was just Jackson and Mason County. That's the only thing I seen.
Okay.
So I'm kind of glad, because I went back hunting Jackson, and I was like, well, I'm not going to take my next one. If I kill a buck, I wasn't going to take it. But luckily, maybe I didn't kill another one, because I didn't think it was mandatory.
So it is mandatory? I mean, what about the people that didn't know about it?
Right. And yeah, that's true. That's why I don't understand how it was mandatory. I think I seen it on Facebook, honestly. Or somebody sent me.
Well, the way I learned about it,
Somebody sent me.
I didn't even know about it until you said something, Dan.
Really?
I mean, so with people not knowing about it, I don't see how they can make something like that mandatory.
Yeah. Maybe it's mandatory if you
well,
knew
I learned
it.
about it day of because my dad's neighbor killed an 8-point right after daylight, and so when he came back after I shot mine, he said, yeah, you're gonna have to take it down there and get it looked at. And I was like, well, I already checked it in, and he's the one that told me about it. But apparently it was on. I don't know if it was on the DNR website. Is that what you just said?
I seen it on Facebook. Somebody sent me a link or a thing on Facebook because they knew,
Okay.
they knew I had my property up in Jackson.
Gotcha.
Well, that's one of the things that I liked about checking in deer at check-in stations.
Man, that was good times.
And I wish they still had that available,
Me too.
I'm all about technology and accessibility and things like that, but the camaraderie that you get when you talk to these people when you go to these check-in stations, what's been brought in today, and you get into talking and you get to learning a lot of different things about the area that you hunted. So
yeah,
Absolutely.
I kind of miss that, man. I mean, I'm glad that I was able to experience that when I was younger.
Yeah, I actually got in a good conversation when that 8-point I was talking about. It was a father and a son that brought that deer down, and they were just talking about the story of that hunt and how that all kind of evolved. And I love that stuff, man. I love listening to that stuff. And something else too. My dad's in his mid-60s, and not that he's not good with technology type stuff, but I mean, there are a lot of people that are older, and it's kind of like, it was kind of difficult the first time checking one in.
Especially if you did it off the computer. Off the phone, it was kind of easy.
Yeah.
You just called the number and
right. Yeah, if you had your DNR number,
yeah.
which you had to
you
have.
still had to have your DNR number, and that's why I couldn't never remember mine. So I always just went online, checked my deer in online. It was easier, but like you said,
yeah, exactly.
we in our era, we're tech savvy if you want to say that,
Yes, but really, we're kind of like the first generation to be that
absolutely.
way. I remember. Yeah, because I remember, dial-up in high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You just get online and somebody picked up the phone. You're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, absolutely. But, my dad's generation, they kind of came up with, rotary phones and stuff. And it's like,
oh, yeah. Yep.
My dad and I got our first cell phones at the exact same time when I went to college. So, I don't know. I think about that kind of thing. You want it to be as accessible to everyone as possible.
Yeah. See, and that's like, speaking of checking in, I honestly didn't know how to check my daughter's deer in. I went and grabbed her, she's got a lifetime license. I've bought her a lifetime license. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just get that and go on this website, punch her information in, create her account. She's not registered yet because she hasn't went through the hunter safety course because she's just coming of age to do that, so it's like, okay, now what do I do? How do I check her deer in?
Right.
So I started researching it, and so I check it in on my tag as underage. Didn't know that.
Okay.
And I as far as I can tell, it doesn't affect what I can kill. I don't know.
Okay.
But
right.
see, I don't know. That's not explained, in my opinion. I don't think that's explained well enough for the average person to figure out, because I'm like,
see that's my thing with a lot of the, the regs and things like that. You really have to spend time reading a lot of this stuff. And some of it's not real cut and dry, as far as what to do. And
yeah, because it didn't really.
Anyway,
I don't even know if I found it on. I may have found it on DNR website. I may have West Virginia's DNR. That may be where I found it. Check it in underage. But once I started playing on that website and started clicking different tabs and all that stuff, and I seen underage. I'm like, oh, okay. So you check it in underage. But it's
Right.
checked in. That's all that matters. It was clean kill.
That's right.
It was awesome.
That's exactly
But
right.
talking on that though, same thing. We used to have the check stations. I remember them, Mason County. We'd come back from the farm we had down there. Right there, there was an old bowling alley right there at Treble Road. You'd stop in there, check your deer in, and there'd be old timers just sitting there waiting for people. And that's kind of like, I guess,
Absolutely.
in a sense, nowadays, it's kind of like going to the meat shops. We got Milan's meat, custom meats.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got Deer Legs, got S&J's. That's the three that's rightly close to us.
Right.
I go down there. I go down, check them all out, bull crap with the guys. I know all the people pretty much from all three of them. And,
Yeah.
and this year has been a phenomenal season, to say the least. Normally on a Wednesday, you start seeing the full meat shop full, can't take no more deer. I know Milam's can hold 600 deer. He was full by 4 o'clock Monday evening. Deer Legs was full by like
Wow.
3 o'clock Monday, and I think he holds 400.
Man.
That's 1,000
Yeah,
deer
yeah.
right there on opening morning.
And
Just
there's
in
people,
our area.
there's people that drive distances to bring them to Deer
Oh,
Legs that I
absolutely.
know of.
Yeah, all three of them. I mean, all of them. There's people that, especially, like Adam, Milam's Custom Meats. I know he's one of the only ones in Kanawha County that's partnered with Hunters for the Hungry, which is a phenomenal program. You take your deer, you can check it in. I want to donate this to Hunters for the Hungry. He takes the deer in. Excuse me. And it's all burger. He grinds the whole deer up, back straps, inner loin, hams, everything, steaks. There's no steaks. There's no nothing. It's nothing but burger. And he donates that to the food pantry.
Wow.
And that feeds a
That's
bunch
awesome.
of people through the winter. But yeah, like I'm saying, and that's kind of like the check-in stations. And now you go down there, you look at hey man, look at that, look what that guy brought in. That's a stud of a buck. And you start talking to him. You start talking to people. Yeah, what'd you kill? I didn't kill nothing. This is the one my daughter killed. She killed this nice big 10-point. It was just interesting, because it's the new thing. We don't have the check-in stations. We have the meat processors.
Exactly.
Yeah, like he was saying, we have Deer Legs and we have Milam's, and I had to go get me some beef stick there, Dave. You got me you got me wanting some beef stick.
Telling you, man, this summer sausage.
And that summer
is-
sausage came from Deer Legs, did it not?
Yeah, jalapeno and cheese.
Yeah.
Holy
Oh yeah.
wow.
They're amazing. They're at the West Virginia Hunting and Fishing Show that we go to in Charleston every year. We talk to them. They have a big booth up there. But if you need a good place, good honest place to take your deer, Deer Legs Deer Processing on 82 Amy Road, Charleston, West Virginia. Their number is 304-776-5717. If you need somewhere to take your deer, like I said, that's honest, you're going to get what you take in. And they'll check your deer out, make sure everything's good with it. They do, vacuum seal. I mean, it's about the neatest that you can get with the cuts.
Yep, they do smoked meats
Yeah,
as well,
I've never
Michael.
seen it that good.
Yeah, they do smoked meats as well. Like Dave was saying, they do the different kinds of beef with the cheddar and stuff and the jalapeno cheese. But they've got a lot of different stuff that you can choose from. So check them out.
Yeah, definitely. And and like I was talking about, another really good one is Milam's Custom Meats Processing. That's on 554 Lick Branch Road, Charleston, West Virginia. And their number is 304-776-3337. He does, same thing. He does the smoked meats. Them boys work. I know I got a really good friend of mine works out there, helps him cut. They put 118 hours in opening week. He didn't get to hunt. He was working at the meat shop from sun up to sunset. And, I know Adam, the owner of the place, I know him well. That poor boy literally lives at the meat shop during gun season, hunting season.
Yep. They sure do.
Especially when he gets starting the smoked meats, he stays there. He's got a cot that he sleeps basically right beside the smoker, because he's got to check that meat constantly. It's crazy. My hats are off to those boys that are in the meat shops. I always thought, I'm like, I cut pretty good deer. I'd like to do that. I think that'd be a fun job in the winter. No, it wouldn't.
No,
it wouldn't. You don't hunt. You don't get to hunt. You're there.
You don't get to hunt
from basically
you're there till 11, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 1.
Monday morning, opening day. I guarantee you by 7:30, you're going to have somebody pulling in with a deer.
Oh yeah,
absolutely,
definitely, yep. And we're not affiliated with neither one of these processing places. We just want to give, people that's listening, good, reputable places to take their deer within the area. So
absolutely,
that's two great places.
Yeah, we've had really good experiences with those places, and my thing is, they have great customer service. I know I'm going to get what I take. I'm not going to get half the meat I take, or whatever, 3/4 of the meat that I take there. I know what I'm getting, and like you said, Mike, their presentation's amazing. The labeling on the packages, all that stuff is just top notch.
Yep, it's really good.
Yeah, the vacuum.
I know the current owner.
The vacuum seal's amazing. That's how I do it. I don't take my deer in. I process it myself. I've got everything that I need. I can make my own summer sausage. I can make my own snack sticks. I made 15 pounds of jerky this year. So, I do it. I can do it all. I've always done it all. I think the only time I've ever had a deer processed, I was 13 years old. The first buck I killed with my dad, he took it to somebody, and the next year we killed another one, and he was like, all right, boy, I'm going to teach you how to hang a deer, skin a deer, and cut a deer. And, and honestly, Dad taught me all that, but my uncle perfected it to me. His dad was a butcher, so he knew exactly what to cut, where to cut, and how to cut. So I got to hunting with him a little bit more when my dad finally stopped hunting. He's like, well, I'm done hunting. I just like to look at them. So I started hunting more so with my uncle. And he really brought to light to me how to cut a deer. And I appreciate that out of him.
Yeah, it's definitely something that everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
But, when you get in a crunch and you ain't got the time, support your local businesses and take these deer to people that's definitely going to be reputable and things,
Absolutely. I wish, like you said, it's something you should know. I wish more people would know. There's so many hunters out there. Not knocking on nobody. I understand it's hard. It's a process. It really is. But I think everybody should learn it. At least do one deer in their lifetime, if nothing else.
I agree. Yeah.
I'll tell you something else too. Something that we did. This was a few years ago, but I had a group of buddies, and we just kind of decided we were going to use my friend's garage. And any deer that we got, we were going to kind of join together and cut up together. We had a grinder, and we kind of worked together, and it was really cool because it was a good opportunity to spend time with your brother, and just kind of cut up meat together. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool too. So that's a good idea if you've got some friends that hunt with you, get together and cut it up. And I'm telling you, the time will fly, because I just remember that the time flew by while we were cutting.
Oh yeah, man, it absolutely does. And it's not all about the cut, and you got the like you said, the camaraderie, the bullcrap sessions that you get. You may think the time's flying, but
definitely.
You look down and you'll be like, oh man, we really haven't done nothing. But you know what? You've made memories. You've bullcrapped enough, and
absolutely,
you're still getting the meat cut up, and it's just, that's what it's all about, man. And in reality, that's what it's all about. Just getting together with your buddies or your family or somebody that you hunt with religiously. It's awesome.
Yep, sure is. All right, well, one of the things that we like to do every podcast is our verse of the day. So, Dave, caught you off guard there, didn't I?
Got it ready.
He's always ready to go. You ain't got to worry about him.
Oh man, we love the Bible. We love the Bible.
Hey, we may cut up and we may drink a little beer and whiskey every now and then, but we love Jesus, and
Amen.
we definitely know that Jesus is Lord of Lords and King of Kings.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people get kind of, there's two ditches pretty much to every argument. You can get in the ditch. Well, you never touch anything, never do anything, whatever. But
Yeah.
I personally think Jesus said, just live moderation. Live in moderation. And if it offends somebody, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, same here. I mean, if I'm around somebody and they don't agree with what I'm doing, then I'm not going to do it around them. I wouldn't want to offend anybody.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So absolutely. But I'm not going to judge someone for having a drink. It's just not.
No, definitely
That's not. I don't believe that's the way he was.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't take it to the extreme. I mean,
Absolutely.
Everybody was young at one time. Everybody went out and partied, and well, most people, but I know
Made
I
stupid
did.
decisions.
I went out and partied and it took it to the extreme when I was younger. And it's kind of crazy because we went to the Buffalo Trace Distillery this weekend, and I was telling my son, he sees me get excited about these things, and I love the history behind bourbon and whiskey. And he said, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, you got excited over that, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, it's nice to know now at a older age that I can have different bourbons and enjoy the notes and the taste and the different things that you get from those." And just enjoy the drink itself instead of drinking it to get drunk like I did when I was younger. And I've been, that those are in the past. That's the old Mike. I mean, I've been redeemed from those things, and Jesus was the one that done that, and that's why I can do what I can do today.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was called a glutton and a wine bibber.
Sure.
There's a reason for that. He didn't shun people, because of their actions. He was right in the midst of them. He was ministering to everybody, and it was really the ones who claimed to be living perfect lives. Those are the ones he had the most problem with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway, our verse today comes out of Romans 8:29, and the last verse of the day we went over was Romans 8:28. And I'm telling you, if you ever want to just kind of jump in and read a book of the Bible, a great one is Romans. I don't know what it is about this book, but there are so many amazing truths. Every time I get in here, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he said that.
I'm telling you, the book of Romans will get in your business.
It does. It really does. There's some stuff in Romans chapter 6 we'll probably get into next time. But
I mean, if you can't take the wages of sin is death, then I mean, he tells you right there.
Yeah. That's right. So Romans 8:29, and this is out of course, the Passion. This is my translation lately, guys. I don't know. For he knew all about us before we were born. How about that? God knew all about us before we were born.
It's amazing.
It says he destined us from the beginning to share the likeness of his Son. This means the Son is the oldest among a vast family of brothers and sisters who will become just like him. And that'll stretch, a lot of times I like to stretch my imagination. Like how does God see me? Like we as parents, when we look at our children, we're able to see the best in them. I mean, if you're a good parent, you're able to see the best in your kids. You're able to have a vision of what you see them doing a year from now, maybe 10 years from now, whatever. But, you have the best of intentions for your kids, and you have the best ideas and visions for your kids. And I think that's what God's saying here. He's like, man, I have envisioned you becoming like Jesus at some point. Either here on the earth, you're going to be more like him, or you're going to be more like him in the life to come, but you will be like him. And I just think that's amazing how that God sees us that way.
Yes, it is for sure. I mean,
Anyway,
you're talking about a God that knew every hair on our head before we was even born. You know, I mean,
yeah,
he knew what we were destined to do in the womb. You know, I mean, it's just it's
right.
amazing just to kind of wrap your mind around that. I mean, we're never going to fully understand the Bible in its completeness, and I don't think we're supposed to. You know, but there are some things that he wants you to meditate on and to just, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, the whole thing's amazing.
And my thing too is like, you know, I think sometimes people are like, you know, if I allow, you know, the Lord to make the decision on what I do with my life, it's not going to be what I want to do. But I think it's just the opposite. I think the thing that you find the most joy in, he wants to take that and have you do that for your life.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And, you know, I think people so many times are like, well, I want to hold on to what I want to do. But really, if you can think of the most joyful thing that you can do, you know, being a Christian, what's the most joyful thing that I could do with my life? I would say God's probably in that, because he's not going to take you and ask you or make you do something that's not within you to do. Does that make sense?
I mean, that's, you know, that goes back to me trying to find my calling a long time ago. You know, I was like, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And one of the things that I believe that I'm good at is serving people. I mean, I was in public service for 9.5 years, and I think that that's one of the things that I'm good at, and that is where my calling has been. So that's
pretty awesome.
That's perfect, Dave.
Sure.
Well, let's get back to deer season. So, and we don't want to get too
technical,
too into the technical and the religious part of things,
not political, but religious.
Yeah, we don't want to get too far into it. I mean,
we could hit on that all day, honestly. You know, and it's something we all enjoy talking about. It's a passion.
Yeah.
So
definitely,
Michael.
So
tell us about y'all's hunting season. I know you guys didn't connect on nothing, but y'all had a pretty decent one. You know, Trevor missed his buck. Tell us a little bit about why he missed that thing.
Well, he's probably not going to like this too well, but so
it don't matter. He don't have to like it.
We get out there. You know, we leave that morning and we're getting ready to get in the truck and we're loading up the guns and all this stuff. And Trevor's like, man, Dad, I don't believe I have any 410 bullets. You know, the 410 is his gun. That's what he shot since he was 6 years old. And,
sure.
you know, he just hadn't wanted to shoot anything else. Of course,
he's
you know, he's
good
skinny.
with it.
And he's good with it.
Is.
Yeah. So that's what we didn't have shells for. So we left it at the house. And I said, well, you're just going to have to shoot my 30-06. And I took my 223 and we get out there and, you know, we had went to a spot and sat down for most of the day, and we had walked in. We had the option to take side by side in, but we decided to just park it and walk in. So we get in there and we get set down, and you know, I've taken my nap and woke up, and he takes his nap, and you know, the normal time in the woods. You know, like you were saying, you get through all the snacks that you've got and stuff like that. And then he's the kind of hunter that likes to get up and walk. You know, he'll sit for a little bit, but he likes to get up and walk and try to jump some stuff up. So
he takes after me.
We get back on the side by side.
He takes after me.
Yeah. So we get back on the side by side and we go to the other side of the property, and you know, we're going up through there, and he said, "Stop, Dad." And this was like 4:00, you know, we just went up to the top of the ridge to see if we could see anything. And, you know, he gets off the side by side and he said, "Stop." So he gets off and I'm like, "Did you hear something?" You know, I'm sitting there on my phone, you know, while he gets off. You know, I thought we were just riding around, and he's like, you know, 30, 40 yards away from the side by side. And we're in the woods, and he starts to kneel down, and I'm still talking to him, and I'm like, did you see something? Do you see something over there? You know, I'm sitting here talking like I am to you all, like being loud and all this, and he's doing this Call of Duty thing behind his back, like, hey, you need to stop, or you need to, you know, slow down, or, you know, I don't know what it was he was doing. It was crazy.
Well, you maybe need to play a little bit of Call of Duty with the boy. You'll learn these things.
Yeah. Well, he was telling me to shut up, I think. And I look back over, and I'm playing on my phone, and I look back over at him, and he's still knelt down, and boom, he pulls the trigger, and it knocks him back on his butt. Well, he's shooting my 30-06, and he looks through this. You know, I told him beforehand. I said, when you're looking through this scope, you want the black dot to disappear, and you want to be able to see everything in there, and make sure your eyes far enough away from it to where you can see the whole circle. And he was like, okay. You know, I didn't want him to get busted in the eye. Of course, you know, like me and Dave was talking, you know, earlier today, I think it was. It seems like the better quality scopes you have are the ones that's less likely to, you know, put a dinger on your eye if you get hit by it.
Yeah, you have better eye relief, seems like, on a better scope.
Yeah,
seems
they
that
do.
way.
And this one I've got on there, I can't remember the brand of it, but it's a good brand, and it's got good eye relief. And, you know, he got knocked back on his butt, but he looked over at me, and he was like, and I seen the deer run off. I mean, this was a big buck, and a big body deer. So I take the side by side, and I'm going back down the woods road there, the 4-wheel road, trying to see where this deer went, and I couldn't see him nowhere. You know, I didn't see no blood trail across the 4-wheeler path, nothing. And I'm hollering back up to him. I'm like, Trevor, do you have blood? He's like, yeah, I have blood. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I go up there, and you know, I get to where he shot it, and it looked like you killed a big freaking bunny. There's just white hair everywhere. And then he found this one piece of skin that had brown hair and white hair with it. And it was almost like somebody just shaved it off with a knife. It still had skin on it. And I'm like, man, you just grazed the chest of this thing, you know, as he was turning around or something. He was telling me that he was broadside towards him because, you know, I've taught him to make sure the deer's broadside. You're going to where you can get a good shot on it. And he knows where to shoot it right behind the shoulder.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Either it was turning as he shot it, or it was him falling back onto his butt with the 30-06 after he shot it. But it's still a great memory.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I told him, I said, Trevor, I said, it's going to happen, bub. I said, it's happened to me. I said, and he was beating himself up about it. He was like, man, that was a really nice buck, and that would have been a great, you know, buck for me. And I'm like, yeah, it would have been. But I said, there's plenty of deer in my life that I've said that about as well, too, you know?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, it's, you now have a big buck story to tell somebody, you know?
Yep.
It's not something that you have to make up. It's not something that when people sitting around deer camp talking about, you know, things that they've done, that you have to fill in the gaps with something you haven't done. You know what I mean? I mean, it's good to have these experiences.
Yeah.
And
that's 100% a learning experience for that boy. You know, now,
oh yeah,
next time he's out there, I'll bet you he takes a little bit more time and prepares himself for what's getting ready to happen when that gun cracks.
Yeah, and you know, he was free arm shooting it. You know, he was not propped up against a tree or something. He told me, he said, Dad, if that happens next time, he's like, I'm getting down on the ground. I'm laying down. He's like, I'm going full prone.
Well, honestly, Dad should have had his shoulder
Prone,
ready.
you might get hit by like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I've heard of people getting cracked by trying to shoot a high-powered rifle prone.
I know.
Oh,
yeah,
Dad should have had
when
his
I told
shoulder
him, I
ready.
said, well, you know, I didn't expect that.
Sure.
I mean, we're just riding up there to see what's going on, and he hears this over the side by side, you know, and then gets off, and then this big thing standing there. And, you know, I told him when he got back to the side by side, I'm like, you know, if you get off and you think that you're going to hear something, always get near a tree or something.
Yeah.
That way you can also be behind something to cover yourself from them seeing you. but you'll also have something to rest your rifle on, you know, to get a steadier shot. And he was like, yeah, he was like, I didn't even think about that, but it's just awesome. He said, yeah, I just gave him a haircut. He was like, we'll go back, and he knows that I'm coming for him. So later on that evening, I was like, Trevor, you going to be giving haircuts tomorrow? And he was like, don't even.
Went to barber school, did he?
Yeah. I told him, I said, you going to be the barber tomorrow?
That's awesome. You know, another thing we do here, we like to do the salute to valor. Tonight, we'd like to honor Jackie Williams of Globe, Arizona. You know, he served in the United States Army out of Fort Drum, New York. He was actually stationed with me at Fort Drum. We deployed together to Iraq. You know, he made the rank of sergeant in the Army. He was deployed to Afghanistan as well as Iraq. You know, he was awarded the Army Accommodation Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, Overseas Service Medal. He got his Combat Infantry Badge, his Expert Infantry Badge, and you know he's no longer active duty, but he served his time for our country, and we thank him for that, and we thank him for his sacrifice to our great country. We just want to salute you tonight, sir.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate everything you've done.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your service. God bless you. Yeah, and like Dan said, that's one of the things that we do on every podcast. So we're getting a little light when it comes to veterans to salute. So if you have a veteran that you would like to have, mentioned on the show, or, that you would like us to do a salute to, someone that has active military, retired, someone that has passed, we do the honor, and we also do the salute as well. So if you have somebody that you would like us to do that, just send those requests or that information to Mike at naturesvoicegamecalls.com, or you can also message Dan Hall on Facebook, or get a hold of us on our page there on Facebook, On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. You can get a hold of us through there, and we will gladly mention those on our salute to valor.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be someone, it could be you yourself. I mean, we definitely want to thank you. I know there's tons of people out there. I know a lot of people. I served my time. I served with some great men, some great women. We would like to salute all of you guys and gals.
Yeah, definitely.
For your service. It's just an honor that we can do it. We want you to reach out to us. We want you to give us your information. Well, whatever you want to tell us. If you just want to say, hey, I served in the Army, hey, I served in the Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, it doesn't matter. Well, if that's all you want us to say, we'd be glad to say something for you on your behalf. I know.
Yeah, definitely.
I know as myself, it's hard for a serviceman or woman to expect gratitude. It really is. What we've sacrificed, it's about what you've sacrificed. And we want to appreciate you for it. So anytime you have the information, anybody you yourself, your family, your father, your dad, your uncle, your brother, anything, we'd like to appreciate you for the short amount of time that we do this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and like Dan said, it could be something as short as where you served and how long, or it could be the long list that we go through, the different things. But we definitely want to give out that recognition, and we appreciate all of our military and all of our armed forces. Last time we done one, and it was the Coast Guard, and I myself didn't know that the Coast Guard and the space program, the Space Force, was part of our military, but it is.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to meet somebody from the Space Force, though. Honestly, I have not got to meet somebody. That'd be definitely cool.
I think that would be cool.
No,
man.
absolutely.
That'd be a fun guest to have.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have done it if that was something available back when I joined. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Send me to Mars. I'll go kill a Martian.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe that's going to do it for this evening. You guys have had some amazing seasons. Some great memories have been made, whether we've killed deer or we haven't killed deer. And we still got another week left, so
Hey, one of these days, Michael, you'll get in the hunting spirit and you'll actually kill something too. You won't have to rely on your boy to shoot.
Oh, you want to go there, do you? I see how it is.
Hey,
listen.
hey, look,
My
listen here,
manhood.
Dave. I told Michael, I said,
What?
Once you bring Trevor out here, I've got a ton of does out on the property. Let y'all kill something. Just put some meat in the freezer. Well, we really want to kill the big buck. I'm like, it ain't about the buck. Just kill something.
No, I know it's not about the buck, but you know just as well as I do when you're as young as he is and you've seen a buck like that and missed it.
Oh, yeah.
That boy wanted to go back and hunt it.
Sure.
And he did. And we stayed on the other side of the property in this blind. And this was right in the same area where this deer's working. I mean, he is working this place and this ridge like crazy. We seen rubs on trees 6 inches in diameter. I mean, it's nuts.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He's got them tore up.
You told me all about it, but I just had to give you a little bit because I tried to get him to
Oh,
kill
I
a
know.
doe. You know, just
Absolutely.
throw some of that meat in
Yeah.
that freezer. You know, it's worth
Well,
it.
Absolutely. You know,
We were sitting there in the blind, and we have 3 does that we know of. What was walking right up the 4-wheel road, and there was 3 other deer that was back in the back, and they kind of went off over the hill into the bottom. We didn't get to see what they was, but I'm pretty sure that all of them were does. Not too sure, but you know, he thought about taking one of them does, and he's like, nah. He was like, Dad, it's too early. He was like, I still think we can get that buck.
Hey, that's good though. That's instilling in that boy. Hey, you don't have to kill everything that walks past you. I still do, but hey, whatever.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for this evening. So we appreciate you guys coming on, and it's always a good time. Everybody, when you get a chance, check us out on Facebook at On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We got a Facebook page. We got a private page that you can also become a member of that we started for our promotional purposes. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcast. We're there. So give us a listen, like, and a share. And thank you all for listening. Have a good week.
thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Backwater Truck Supply, located at 100 Armor Creek Road in Nitro, West Virginia, right across from the Town and Country Supply. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupplywestvirginia.com. Backwater Truck Supply specializes in accessorying your ride to your liking, new or old. Does your Jeep or truck need lifted or leveling kit installed? They've got you covered. New tires or minor automotive repairs? They got you covered there as well, with a full-service lift along with a wheel balancing machine. They are affiliates with some of the top brands in the automotive industry. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupplywestvirginia.com.